First video of 2024, let's do it. 21 Savage just released his latest album, American Dream. It's his first solo project since 2018's I Am Greater Than I Was, and it is the soundtrack to an upcoming film about his life starring Donald Glover. 21 Savage's mother lays out the concept of the album beautifully on the opening track, American Dream, where she reads a poem talking about everything she sacrificed to give 21 Savage the opportunity to achieve his American dream. And over the course of the album, 21 Savage details the trials and tribulations throughout his life that he persevered through in order to achieve success and make his mother's sacrifices for him worth it. Overall, I think this is a great album and 21 Savage definitely delivered, although I do think with each of his previous albums, both his solo albums and the collab projects, I think each album he took a step up in quality, and I think each one incrementally elevated the perception of 21. But with this latest offering, I don't think he took as much of a step forward as he did with his previous albums. It's a very enjoyable listen. I think it's one of the higher quality rap projects that we've gotten in quite a while. I'm not complaining about what 21 Savage gave us with this album. I just was expecting a little bit more or something different sonically than what we've gotten from him previously, and I don't think that was the case here. The production choices and the flows that 21 Savage uses on this project isn't all too different from his previous work, although I will say that lyrically there's definitely been a shift, as this is without question his most intimate project that he's ever given us.
Being intimate is still quite new for us.
And speaking of how intimate this project is, let's talk about the poop bars. At first, my reaction was just like everybody else's, where I was just sitting there like, what did he say? And then he says it again. But the more I listened to the song, the more I actually came to enjoy it, and I found it a lot of fun to just repeat that line over and over again. It smell like gas, I think somebody poop. It's also an underrated talent for an artist to say something that they know will get people talking and lead to more discussions online. I mean, maybe I'm giving 21 Savage too much credit, and he didn't expect it to lead to so much conversation. But I think he knew people would be talking about the fact that he said it smells like poop multiple times on a song. There was also a second poop bar towards the end of this album on the penultimate track, Red Sky, where he says, live on the toilet, I stay on my shit. And as somebody who spends quite a lot of time on the toilet, this one really hit home for me, and I actually thought this one didn't bother me the first time I heard it. I actually thought it was pretty hard. When I look at the track list on this album, there's probably roughly 2/3 of the songs on this album that I'll come back to. There's 15 tracks, there's probably 10 or 11 that I really enjoyed. I've added to playlists and have been listening to quite a bit. That's pretty good. Red Rum, which is just murder backwards, is without question my favorite track on this album. The production from London on the track is top tier. I think vocally, 21 Savage is at his best on this song. I also absolutely love the track Just Like Me. Burna Boy never disappoints, and his chorus on this song is just mwah, mwah. Metro Boomin was on the production as well on Just Like Me. He produced 4 songs on this album, and he was credited as an artist on each song. You know, that's probably partially to do with his relationship with 21 Savage. They have a very close friendship, but also it probably goes to show how big Metro Boomin's gotten and how much name recognition he has, that he can command. You know, any song he produces, he also gets credited as an artist. Not many producers can really do that. Speaking of the features, I think this album had a lot of very, very strong features. We should start with the Young Thug feature on Pop Your Shit. It's worth noting that it's very evident that this entire Young Thug verse is censored. You know, we can assume that's probably because Young Thug is on trial right now and they're using lyrics from past songs against him. So to avoid anything being used against him in court, anything that, you know, would seem to be incriminating, they just censored it. I also really like the Doja Cat feature on Never Have I Ever. I actually read that that song was originally intended for her album Scarlet, which was one of my favorite rap albums of 2023. She's really been showcasing her rapping ability lately, and I think this is a very strong verse from her. I also love that her chosen ad-lib on her verse was just saying ad-lib. You know, it's very funny, very Doja Cat-esque, and I think it plays, honestly, because if Travis Scott can get away with saying, "It's lit," as his ad-lib, then I think really anything goes at this point. Speaking of Travis Scott, he was featured on the song Ninon. Unsurprisingly, that song is a fan favorite. The song is bouncy as hell. It's a very fun listen. I really like that. That's probably one of my favorites on this album as well. And one other feature that to me might be the strongest of them all is Summer Walker on Prove It. That is one of my favorite songs on this album. I love the Faith Evans sample that they used. That song is a great love song for 21 Savage. He low-key does a really good job when he does those love type of songs with an R&B artist on the chorus. Like, that song is so good. I love the sample. Everything about that song is great. The only feature on this album that I really have a problem with is Tommy Newport and Mikey Echo, or Mikey Echo, I don't know how to say it, on the song Red Sky. I've never heard of Tommy Newport before this song, but the intro and the chorus on this song is just corny as hell. I think I read it from someone on an article from Hip Hop DX, I think it was, but they compared it to a Skylar Grey feature on like a 2010 Eminem song, and honestly, that is so spot on. And it's a shame because I love the pocket that 21 Savage gets into throughout this song, and I also went and listened to some of Tommy Newport's solo music, and it's pretty good, so I don't want that to be an indictment of him as an artist, but that just wasn't it. It wasn't the vibe. I can't believe that song made the album with that intro and chorus thing, because that was just not the wave. Another one of my favorite songs is Letter to My Brudda. I think this is one of the most vulnerable and introspective 21 Savage songs that you'll get. And of that same vein is the outro track Dark Days featuring Mariah the Scientist. While this definitely is one of my least favorite songs on the album and probably one I won't come back to, I do think it's a good way to close out the album. Again, very vulnerable, very introspective. 21 is looking back on his life on this song and coming to accept all the pain that he had to go through, but also celebrating his success and the fact that he achieved his American dream that his mother always wanted for him. So, I mean, yeah, this is a great 21 Savage project. I don't think he took a huge step forward sonically, but I think lyrically, this is the most intimate and vulnerable we've seen him. I've been listening to this album a lot of songs I've been going back to. Personally, I would give this a 7 out of 10. And the last point that I want to make is, I think with this album, I think most would, but personally, I would put 21 Savage as the top artist to come out to the 2016 XXL freshman class. I think there was a time recently too where him and Kodak Black were kind of beefing, and Kodak was saying that 21 Savage switched up once he got big and started working with Drake. But I think somewhere in there they were going back over, you know, who was the best artist to come out of that freshman class. I think the only other artists you could really make a case for are probably Uzi and Anderson .Paak. You know, Uzi is obviously huge and he's had monster hits, but I think the Pink Tape was a flop, in my opinion at least. I don't think it did too well sales-wise. And Anderson .Paak is probably the most talented artist. Actually, not probably. He's definitely the most talented artist to come out of that class. He's obviously had huge albums with Silk Sonic, with Bruno Mars. Malibu was huge. But his albums in between, Oxnard and Ventura, were a little weak and not as well received by fans. Probably the only other artist that would even get mentioned is Lil Yachty. I don't think he has a chance for being the top artist, but I think you can probably make a case for him maybe being the most impactful on hip hop and the sound that we have today, especially more recently with the, you know, recent resurgence he's had over the last year or so. But I don't think you could say top artist in terms of success and anything like that. So I personally think 21 Savage has that title on lock. He's coming off the high of his album Her Loss with Drake. His Savage Mode albums with Metro Boomin were both huge. I Am Greater Than I Was had monster hits and was very well received. I just don't think at this point you could say that 21 Savage has had a miss even once in his career. And I think he's more than surpassed the expectations that people had for him very early on in his career. I mean, he's definitely up there as one of the top hip hop artists today, popularity wise. And again, I don't think he's missed ever. But all right, those are my thoughts on 21 Savage's latest album, American Dream. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I am Don Chenz, and I will see you soon.